Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good morning, I'm Will Puckett. Today is July the 28th. It's a Sunday. Your time is 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning into Mountain News This Morning Weekend Edition. Well, two young lives cut short. The one-year-old twins left in a hot car while their father went to work. Melissa Rainey has more on the tragedy.
A tragic scene in the Bronx Friday night. Police tape blocked the streets as New York authorities investigated the death of twin babies in a hot car.
It's terrible. And then two kids, it's a big tragedy.
Identified by New York police as Marissa and Phoenix Rodriguez, both 1 year old. The father, Juan Rodriguez, has been charged with 2 counts of manslaughter and 2 counts of criminal negligent homicide.
I can't understand how he left them.
Police said the twins were left inside the car for 8 hours. Outside temperatures climbed into the mid-80s through the day, while their father worked his shift at the nearby VA hospital. The twins were found unresponsive in the back of his car after he left work. Witnesses say that's when they saw Rodriguez pull over and yell for help.
I was coming out my building when he was going around the car, yelling and screaming. Bits and pieces I could hear was like, it's not my fault, it was an accident.
Authorities quickly arrived on scene, covering the vehicle and assessing the situation.
When he looked in the back seat, all you could see is the officer do this and then start shaking his head.
I'm Melissa Rainey reporting.
Now, a couple was awakened by police after someone reported them unconscious inside of a car with a 2-month-old baby. Louisville Metro Police reportedly found Matthew and Haley Shields asleep inside of a vehicle in the 1400 block of 7th Street. The vehicle was turned off and all the windows were rolled up. The baby was not responding and was taken to the hospital. Well, at 8:02 on this Sunday, let's check in with meteorologist Kelly McShane. And Kelly, a group of us, including yourself, went to the pool yesterday and you got a little bit more sun than expected.
Yeah, I did get a little sunburnt yesterday, but overall, great day to spend outside, and we're going to see that today as well. So definitely another good pool day for everybody here in the mountains. Interstate 75 this morning looking in pretty good shape. Not too much fog out there. That sun shining very brightly this morning, and the visibility into Harlan and Bell counties, once again, that's where we're seeing the majority of the fog. So just be careful traveling through those counties and any valley regions that do typically see fog. Now, our temperatures, we are in those low 60s for some of us, but a lot of us are in those mid to upper 60s, even 70 popping up in Lexington, 72 in Louisville, and those upper 60s in Prestonsburg and Jackson. So it is a little bit of a warmer start to our morning, and just be careful with that patchy fog into Harlan and Bell County, but otherwise everyone should be in pretty good shape this morning, and we're going to see those clouds increase, maybe a stray shower or two this afternoon, but otherwise another great day to spend outside. I'll have that full forecast and when those rain chances return coming up in my full forecast in a little bit, Will.
All righty, Kelly, thank you. Well, Bell County deputies say a husband, wife, and another woman were arrested Friday because they had drugs inside of a car and 2 children with them. Deputies say they pulled over Johnny Smith. Smith appeared intoxicated and was not wearing a seatbelt. Smith's wife, Priscilla Joan Smith, and Sabrina Margaret Jordan were also in the car. There were 2 children in the back seat. Deputies say they found a bag with a crystal substance inside and pills while searching Smith. He admitted to smoking meth and taking 3 or 4 hydrocodone pills. The 3 were charged and the children were taken by family members. The 14th annual Burn Run Festival wrapped up yesterday at Archer Park in Prestonsburg. The event was hosted by Brothers Keepers Motorcycle Club. All of the proceeds go to fund Camp Tilaba. The camp is for children who are burn victims with Shriners Children's Hospital. Brian Moore says this camp helps these kids have a normal summer.
They get to attend camp together and nobody judges them because they may have scars or something. They just get a chance to be kids.
Between the car show vendors and inflatables, organizers say there was a little something for everyone. Last year's Burn Run Festival raised nearly $15,000. Organizers say they hope to surpass that number this year. A federal officer gunned down in Knott County while transporting prisoners through eastern Kentucky has been honored at a small courthouse ceremony in Texas more than a century after his death. Senior officials with the U.S. Marshals Service and judges gathered Friday in Plano to present a flag to Russell Wireman's great-great-great-grandson, Gary Holsey. Wireman, a marshal, was shot in the chest in 1889 during the so-called Moonshine War. Well, around 1,000 kids lined up inside the Pikeville YMCA for a back-to-school giveaway yesterday afternoon. The event was sponsored by Thankful Hearts Food Pantry. From Maryland to North Carolina, groups of volunteers came from multiple states. Volunteer Sandy Motley says if it was not for the donations each year, this would not be possible.
Thank you to all the students that come and volunteer their time, to all the people back home that give money and supplies and the things that we need.
This giveaway has helped children since 1987. Kids received clothes, shoes, school supplies, and hygiene products. Plus, anyone who showed up received a meal bag. A fresh haircut is on a lot of back-to-school checklists, but some families are unfortunately unable to pay for one. So the First United Methodist Church of Paintsville and a few local hairstylists teamed up to offer free haircuts to local kids who are about to head back to school.
We always see school supplies and such like that, and I was trying to think out of the box of something that would be cool for the kids that they don't really get to experience or may not have access to. So I come up with the free back-to-school haircuts, so all the kids will have a fresh cut and style when they return back to school.
Look good, feel good, play good. This is the 4th time the church has held this event, and they say they hope to add more barbers and beauticians in the future. Well, Kentucky students will see a new sign hanging in the hallways when they return to school. The General Assembly passed a new law requiring every school building to display "In God We Trust." Kentucky is not the only state implementing this new policy. Schools in South Dakota, Utah, and other states have similar laws. A 75-year-old locomotive is rolling through parts of central Kentucky. It brought a crowd to Midway early yesterday and then continued on its path to Lexington. Krista Frost was there as it rolled in, bringing memories and hopes for a new future with it.
It's living history. Absolutely living history.
It's a cool sight for this crowd, but it's so much more for Ohioan Liz Stevens.
My husband had always had a love of trains since he was a boy.
His name is Tom. Together, they began working with the Historical Society restoring trains out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, about 100 miles from their small town outside of Dayton.
In the late 80s, early 90s, we went to Birmingham, Alabama. They were not running it anymore. It was broken. So Tom and a few other of the Fort Wayne men went to Birmingham, Alabama, and we got this 2716, took it to Fort Wayne, and they proceeded to restore it.
Of course, they had some help.
Whatever he did, I did. If he worked with grease, I worked with grease.
Piece by piece, they helped preserve this 2716, sending it to a museum in New Haven, where Chris Campbell went with an idea.
What do you think about us doing an inspection? And if we do an inspection on it and like it and think it's mechanically viable to restore, would you let us lease it for the long term and operate it?
An idea that quickly took off, and who better to consult with than the man storing some of these parts at home.
The guys came to the house and they went down to the barn, and it's like, oh yeah, got a piece of this here and a piece of that there.
This is video from a few years back, and there's Tom telling these guys stories from when he worked on this engine.
I just like to hear it run again, see it run again. I hope I live long enough.
He had cancer, and he just couldn't fight it anymore.
But that's why Liz brought his picture, so he can see this engine's future.
Oh, he would have loved this. He's looking down now, very happy to see that it's going to be rebuilt.
In Midway, Krista Frost, WKYT.
Pretty sweet. The locomotive is making stops through central Kentucky on its way to eastern Kentucky. It will be parked in a shop in Estill County where it will be restored with the help of technical students and then used to promote tourism right here in eastern Kentucky. Well, a Kentucky state trooper helped make one little boy's dream come true. Gage Foster from Breathitt County is 5 years old and loves police. This summer, there was a roadblock below Gage's house and his dad took him to go see the police. Gage's parents say Kentucky State Police Trooper Matt Day gave Gage his own badge. Gage was so happy he invited Trooper Day over. Trooper Day had plans and could not make it. That was just a few weeks ago. Earlier last week, Trooper Day surprised Gage by showing up and letting him sit in his cruiser. He even got to wear the trooper's hat. Well, authorities say a West Virginia deputy was hospitalized after coming into contact with fentanyl. The deputy pulled over a man in Cabell County on Route 40 when he thought the man was having a medical emergency. The man was actually overdosing. When the deputy went to help the man, he came into contact with heroin laced with fentanyl. Well, the funeral for University of Mississippi student Alexandria Allie Costal was held in St. Louis Saturday morning. On Tuesday, authorities in Mississippi arrested a suspect in the death of Costal. Brandon Thiesfeld, 22 of Texas, was taken into custody Monday afternoon. Deputies discovered Costal's body Saturday morning. The department said, adding it was apparent that foul play was involved. Well, coming up on Mountain News this morning, weekend edition, newlyweds barely survive an accident on their honeymoon. And in sports, Coach Cal and the Cats started the 2020 recruiting class off on the right foot, picking up a top 10 prospect.
And we have yet another day of sunshine and nice weather, but changes are coming to the forecast. I'll have those details coming up next.